Hi guys, welcome back. It's UK here. 40k vid this time. I have been watching, or rather reading, over this evening, a thread over at the 40k forums site, talking about tailoring and ethics, tailoring to your environment. Basically, list tailoring to what your opponent's going to play. And it's quite an interesting sort of like topic in general, because it's one of those things where lots and lots of people turn around and say that you shouldn't do it. You should turn up to your local club or whatever. I mean, this is assuming you're not playing some sort of weird league or campaign or whatever. But you should turn up to your local club with a completely unknown list, completely unknown to your opponent, and you go to Bob and you go, hey, do you want a game? I've got a 1500 point list with me. And they go, sure, and you deploy and you play. And there's nothing wrong with that. But one of the things that we tend to do, and we're doing it in our upcoming league, actually, is, and a league is somewhat different to be fair, other than pickup games. But what we do, for the most part, is, and even in friendly games, to be fair, you know what who your opponent is and your mission in advance. And even if it's like friendly games where someone says, oh, do you want a game this Thursday? Yep, fine. The response generally from both people is, what are you playing? And the reason for this is, myself, and I think a fair few of our local players, the most fun games are those that are A, just casual fun, and B, the ones where you know your opponent's codex and the mission, because it means that you can build a list for the opponent you're facing. So if I play Space Marines and my opponent's playing Orcs, I know these are the options I want to take, and knowing the mission in advance as well. Although this isn't necessarily a must, but I think it helps. You can adapt to that as well. For example, if you've got just a kill point mission, as it were, or victory point as it is now, you might not necessarily want to take as many troop choices as you would otherwise, because you haven't got to hold objectives. You're there to shoot and wipe out the enemy. Whereas with objective missions, if you haven't got troop choices, you can't hold them. But using that example, yes, I know what weapons and gear to take against Orcs, and my opponent, playing Orcs, would know what, likewise, gear and unit choices to take against me. And the games come out a lot more balanced, in my mind. Don't get me wrong, games still come down to tactics and the ability of a player to adapt and so forth. And yes, it is abusable by those that want to power game. But if you're going to, that's, in my experience, is few and far between. There's only a handful of people at our local club who I would say would do that. And even then, that's that sort of player, so you can adapt to that as well, or try to. So I, for the most part, don't see a problem with list tailoring, providing that both players are aware of it and in agreement to it. Now, some of you might be asking, well, why on earth would you play like that? Why can't you just play a pickup game? And you can. But we did it for a couple of reasons. One, when we had a local store here, our nearest games workshops now are Cambridge and Bedford here in the UK, and Peterborough. We're kind of smack in the middle. But we did have a local independent stockist until about a couple of years ago. But the idea was that it would support the local stockist, because you would turn around and go, right, I need such and such a unit to help me take on this guy and I haven't got them, so I'll go and buy that unit. It put money back into the local game store. But also because we tend to find that if you play let's say fixed list leagues or campaigns or that sort of thing, or even just pickup games, people tend to play exactly the same stuff over and over again, and people get bored of playing fixed list, and sometimes people get bored of playing opponents who play the same lists. And this way you give people the opportunity to not get bored playing those lists. I mean, everybody's going to be different. And, that's one of the great things about any sort of aspect of the hobby gaming industry. But that was my thoughts on it. If both parties involved, or all parties involved, are aware of it and are happy with it, then I think list tailoring to that extent is probably a good way to go. So at this point I throw out the question, what do you guys think? I'm expecting people to turn around and go, I wouldn't want to play like that. But fair enough, But rather than just say I wouldn't play like that or whatever, give me the reason why. I would be quite interested to see what people think. So until next time, thank you for watching. Take care. Good gaming.